Hey guys, welcome back to Should Have Turned Left. I'm Ben, Canadianized on the forums, at The Canadianized on Twitter.
And I'm Frank, also known as Nazarick.
We would have a double feature for you because you'll see this game's a bit short, but turns out the camera didn't record the second one.
So you get the in-state of the second game.
And we get to talk about the new edition of War Machine and Hordes more. Anyways, this week I brought Cassius, Wormwood, obviously, Druid Wilder, Rotterhorn. Is it Rotter?
The good
whatever.
Griffin.
The good Griffin, yeah. Mark II's dying. Don't care no more.
Yeah.
Gorak, Stalker, 2 Bloodweaver Night Witches, Druid Wilders in the battle group. I should probably just actually grab my cards and look at this list. Druids with UA, Silena and Nis Hunters max, Bone Grinders max, 2 units of stones, 1 with UA, 2 Gallows Groves, and max Bone Grinders.
Yeah, sounds about
Yeah,
right.
I think that's it.
Maybe with some repetition in there, but sounds about right.
Yeah.
I played Ret because Mark II's dying. And in general, the game's fairly stale. And I was looking at my Trollblood list, the Trollblood cards, and going, oh man, all this crap's boring and don't really feel like playing it. So we'll play some Retribution. So I played Gareth, and I had Imperatus, Moros, a Chimera, Silas Wishnailer, Strike Force with UA, minimum Halberdiers with UA, and then Eris was in there, 2 Mage Hunter Assassins, and 2 Arcanus, and I think that's pretty much it.
Got Harris, Iona, and Holt.
Oh yeah, Ion and Holt.
I think that's it.
That's all.
So, Frank won the die roll and decided to go first. I chose that side of the table because, I don't know, I thought having the wall on this side would make my Hellmouths a bit easier. Wouldn't give... Frank couldn't hide on the other side of the wall if I was over there and stop me from Hellmouthing. Didn't take me long to realize there's a giant forest on the other side for Garrett's feet to still keep Wormwood stealth. Oh well.
Yeah, and I didn't really care for table sides so much, so I wanted to go first just to see how it would go. I think you'd go second versus Cassius as well, since I do have like 80 shooting. Going second I think would have been just fine as well, and maybe a little bit better for scenario pressure. But I don't really play with guns very often, so I wanted to
play
go.
Legion.
I mean those I guess, yeah.
You've also played EE.
I mean, those are range 8 guns.
Yeah.
Those are range 8 guns. Legion would be the
But-
closest, because I did use Strider Rangers, which are similar to a Strike Force.
They
But even in Legion, like, I played with like 5 heavies most of the time, so you have 5 guns, it's easy to pick targets.
True.
Here,
When
it's not
everything's
so
so high
easy to
quality.
pick targets.
Yeah, it's just convenient that the guns you have, while low power, ignore so much. I mean, and yeah, Frank got to learn why the UA is always taken with Strike Force.
Yeah, it turns out they're pretty crappy unless you have the Strike Force commander with them.
Yeah.
Then they're pretty good.
Yep. Not even Eris 3 makes up for that mess.
No, yeah, they are pretty underwhelming, especially since they're not even AD without him. Like,
Yeah, I
like,
know.
What the fuck?
And he's the one that gives him fantasy. Can you pass me the bottle opener, please?
And that's exactly why we see that Raven tier list have such popularity, because they can be incredibly powerful with their feet and, of course,
Yep.
snipe, and it allows you to bring multiple Strike Force commanders. So,
Yeah, they become FAU. So,
which
I
will
think
also
the
be
typical.
that's also going to be a thing in the new edition, is
I
no limit
know.
to FA on the
Well-
on the unit commanders. So if you can have 3, like if you're an FA3 unit, then yeah, you get to have 3 commanders. So
Yeah, and considering what we've already seen from Trenchers and what we know of Doom Reavers, that both of those are FAU, considering how many theme forces have made Strike Force FAU, because there's Kalissa's theme force that bumps up their FA. There's Gareth's Theme Force that bumps up their FA. There's Raven's Theme Force that bumps up their FA. Pretty sure Strike Force are going to be FAU.
At least 3, right? I think at least 3.
At least,
because I think there's a good majority of people that have 3 and are currently running 3.
yeah.
So if they're gonna count for like everyone, then yeah, just make them FAU. But
Well, if they, yeah, and
if you're
Garrett's
accounting
Theme
for the
Force
majority,
is so
then-
dang janky because you just start bringing min units to Strike Force, so you have free assassins.
Oh, nice. So you get the free points on.
Yeah, or I don't know if they're free assassins or not, but you get a lot of. No, it's not free assassins, but you do get the FA of assassins get bumped up for each Strike Force unit in there. So, anyways,
But I don't think even if you give them, like, if you give Gareth maybe 15 free points, he probably still has a pretty hard time winning a game. Like maybe
probably
give him 15 free points and he'll win 2 out of 10, maybe.
oh,
3 out of 10,
ouch.
maybe 3 out of 10.
Ouch!
Oh,
Such confidence! Wow.
such confidence. So he has a few things on his spell list that I do like.
Yeah.
I think Mirage is very good on shooting units, melee units, but particularly shooting units because it allows you to disengage, and it also gives you an opportunity to aim more. So I think that is a fairly useful spell. He has Gallows, which is a bit expensive,
And for
especially on a
D6, I'm like, eh.
it's a D6 pole. You know, its POW is okay. But it can be a decent spell. It's just incredibly swingy, and it's a little too expensive for a Focus 6 caster. But it's kind of an okay thing to have. And then he has Death Sentence, which is something that I actually do like, because if you really want to kill something, you can choose not to buff a single unit or a single model. You can buff everything in your army to ensure that to help your odds in killing it with a pseudo mat buff.
Well, I mean, that's
Mat
just,
rat buff.
Yeah, that's just the general nature of debuffs, though, right? Is debuffs work for your entire army.
So, Death Sentence is something I do really like that he has, but while playing with him, I quickly realized that you can't use any of that crap because you have to fuel your jacks if you want them to be the things that are doing it, since Ret doesn't have, like, awesome, like, damage potential outside of some feet turns and, you know, a concentrated power or Phoenix or Imperatus.
Yeah, Banshee's pretty good too.
Yeah, Banshee is
but that's
high
the
output,
thing.
but
It's Phoenix, Banshee, Imperatus. If you're bringing another heavy, you're doing it wrong. Unless you're playing Force Wall with a bunch of mana cores.
yeah, at least there they can get their own focus, right?
Not really. Oh, well, you bring so many Arcanists, and they're going to work like the new edition will.
Yeah.
It's like, Theme Force testing for Mark III?
Yeah, maybe that's why it was busted.
Hail Hydra!
Yeah,
Best
but I
3
mean,
days of Retribution ever.
at least they can essentially, or close to run themselves, because aren't they also the ones that retain their focus each turn?
No, that's the Hydra.
Oh, okay.
That's why it was Hail Hydra when it was just a flat gain and not allocate.
Okay.
Because you could just bring a Hydra, a bunch of Griffins, put something like 12 focus on the Hydra of turn 1, put Phantom Seeker on it. Turn 2, put 12 more focus on it. So you've got
fantastic
range base range 12, POW 12.
Yeah.
Plus
the
1
12
range
for the,
and POW
Yeah.
for each focus on it.
Yeah.
And it ignores line of sight and concealment and cover.
Yeah. Sounds
Hail
balanced.
Hydra.
Sounds balanced.
Yeah. Not surprising that got nerfed in like less than 3 days.
As for this game, I am very artfully moving my army forward.
Yep. I did She Wall and Reform more or less in the same movement because it really doesn't matter at this point.
Yep.
In terms of my deployment, I put my Stalker across from Imperatus. I put Wormwood away from Imperatus. And that was the most of it. I just tried to centralize everything else. Totem Hunter Prey to Mage Hunter Assassin because they're annoying. But I may not be using this playmat for many more BatReps because holy cow, this actually looks really dark. Sorry about that, guys. You can barely see Ayana and Holt and an Arcanist down there.
Yeah, for some reason the black models are even your druids and stuff that are a little bit darker.
Yeah.
They just kind of meld in. Yeah. You'd think they would show up better with the white mat, but
No, apparently not. It's all good.
But crucial mistake is made here.
Gareth is currently not camping anything.
And he's 10 inches upfield.
Yes, he charged forward.
Which is roughly 6 inches further than he should be.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, all right, how do I kill Gareth? And you're just going to see my plan go into action right now. It's like, okay, figure out which of my Gallows Groves is closer, Strange Growth that to its max. Teleport the leader stone of the non-stealth set forward. It is very important that it is the non-stealth set and the leader model.
Yep.
Because it can activate
'Cause
later
if it's stealth,
and pick shifting, which is not teleportation, and it can place itself another 8 inches.
Yep. Does have to be in formation for that.
Yeah. This is so not going to work in the new edition.
Well, yep. We'll be expecting that all to change.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the shifting where you can move even if you're outside of formation, since you're the leader model, you get to do it. That's good fun that we'll be glad to see go.
Yeah.
But
this is part of why I'm still playing this list. I can do this stuff while I can.
I have some psychic vampire up, so I'm gonna help you fuel up Wormwood.
Yep. And this Force Bolt, it's a dude that's way out of range, but it is a rangefinder for me because I'm seeing exactly where I can place that shifting stone and still be in range for the Hellmouth. Yeah,
right now you have to kind of triangulate not shifting outside of your Hellmouth range, which is range 8 spell, right?
Yep.
And still within 3 inches of Gareth at this point. That way you can pull him in and hit him with that Pal 12.
Yeah. Anyways, that druid was too far out to get claimed by Wormwood. There was a Mage Hunter Strike Force member that could mess up.
Yep, he would mess up your pull, potentially putting me outside of the POW 12 from the Hellmouth.
Yep. So I've got a fairly high POW 4-inch AoE, decided to shoot it at you. Luckily for me, it drifted 1 inch in.
So it stays right on the guy.
It drifted 1 inch, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So, managed to kill him. I guess Imperatus is hiding all of that.
Yeah, he's hiding all the good stuff. But it was fairly straightforward. Clear a path, that way you can pull in cleanly, so you don't have models preventing Gareth from getting within the Hellmouth range.
Yep.
And then from there, it's just fuel up the stone.
Yeah,
or fuel up the tree.
Yeah. Which, hooray, this is easy now. What? Oh, yeah, I Force Bolted Imperatus.
Yep.
Got a soul.
He pushes back a bit.
Yeah, it was 1 inch. Yeah. And then
I think
I just create some more clouds to... It's like, hey, more souls, and then I have a cloud extra. My thought for this is I'm wanting to fill up my tree with not pigs first. So if things go horribly, horribly wrong, I can fill it up with pigs afterwards.
Yeah, at this point with the Strike Force member out of the way, you have 2 potential failures. One of them is you kill your shifting stone.
Yeah, if I roll an 11 up,
11 or 12, so it's fairly unlikely, but it can happen.
Talk to Circle players who play this list. It will happen.
Yeah,
too dang often.
And then the other failure is Gareth's working with 16 boxes, so you need to roll 2 10s.
Yeah, 2
per
boosted
damage.
10s. Yeah.
Or 10 or better. Of course, if you get a good one, it makes the second one easier. If you get a poor one, it makes the second one a lot harder.
Exactly.
So,
and you can kind of gamble it based on how your first roll does. If it's a little under average, you can still try to gamble for the second one.
Or you can just
if it's way under
path.
If it's way under average, you do not go for the second one.
Yeah, you unseen path and get the fuck out of town.
Yeah. So now I've got Nis Hunters going and killing Nis Hunters. Because souls for my tree are happy.
Yep.
Anybody who has played Cassius or has played against Cassius knows this is pretty academic at this point. I'm really just kind of going through motions. But yeah. What I find amusing is Frank, you texted me earlier this week wondering, isn't Gareth just kind of a dick punch to circle?
Yeah, I'm looking at the right cards going, it seems like Gareth kind of shuts it down. And we can talk about why that's not really the case. And it's not really the case because almost anything in circle can kill him.
Yeah. You have, well, like I told you, it's like, yeah, you have a turn. Your feet sucks. I can't use my stones or dark nodes or stuff like that, but I can live with a turn.
Yeah, so you need to get a lot in
here
that
comes the
single turn.
hellmouthing.
Yeah, so your first damage roll, which I think we'll see soon, is...
It is a little low.
Yeah, it's a 9. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 7. The other one's a 2.
Yeah.
Because it puts 7 damage on me. So you hit a 9. That's fairly reasonable. It just means you need 11 or better now.
Yeah. Managed to do no damage to my shifting stone, which is amazing for me.
Yeah.
So another Hellmouth at the stone. Hey, look, I hit.
Yeah.
Just
I guess
damage
that's
on Gareth and dead.
Yeah, that's the other way you can fail is rolling Snake Eyes to hit, right?
Yeah. That is another potential failure. So since that game was so short, we ended up re-racking and doing another one. Frank still wanted the die roll to go first.
You chose the side with the big force.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, this time I'm going to take the force to protect Wormwood. Unfortunately, the camera didn't record that game, so...
This is just the end of the game, sort of.
Yeah.
Discussion.
This is, what was it, bottom 4? Was that what it was? So let's see. Bottom 1, I killed 2 Mage Hunter Assassins with a Hellmouth. I did the double...
It might have been bottom... It was bottom 3, maybe.
I think it was...
Bottom 3 or 4.
No, it was bottom 3. It was bottom 3 because you were only at 1 control point right here.
Yeah.
Anyways, the shifting stone you see towards Frank's side, towards the left side of the screen up with a dial on it. That was a stone I Hellmouth to get both Mage Hunter Assassins and a Strike Force member, which helped protect Wormwood. Wormwood has only moved forward from there. My Stalker is dead. You managed to get Imperatus on there. You used a Gallows to do it too.
Yeah, and I got all but one member of Nis Hunters and then all the Druids.
Yeah, you killed all the Druids turn 2.
So right now you're working with your 2 lights and support staff pretty much at this point.
But thankfully, I mean, I know you talk about enlist construction have 5 major modules.
Yeah.
For me, Cassius himself is a major module.
Pretty much when he's operating on 11 Fury, he definitely has the output in a single turn to be just fine and do whatever he wants to do. He's probably like maybe even more, at least on par with like say Ron when Ron has held his feet.
Yeah.
So when Ron's held his feet, he's like, I can throw everything, boosted attack and damage, and I have 8 focus.
But the good thing is Cassius doesn't need a feat to do that.
Exactly, he doesn't need a feat to do that. So he just needs some willing people to go to their death.
Yep.
Which is usually easy to find. So I knew that Gareth was dead right when I moved my last model. So I had Moros left, and I look over to Moros, and I see Gareth still standing on the flag. His goal was to gallows your stalker forward a bit so the imp could get on there.
Yeah,
and then
walk
back 7 inches, or he couldn't go quite 7, but inside
your
kill
not
box.
Kill box. Yeah.
But even then, the scenario is essentially the same as the first game because you just try a double Hellmouth assassination.
Exactly, except that, at that point, because I could still teleport that stone forward, still Gallows Grove that guy forward, and I still have double Hellmouth on him. And again, it's 2 boosted 10s. I need to not kill my stone the first time around and all that fun stuff. So it's not great, but because Gareth was on the flag, you ended up giving me a better opportunity. Started off with primaling my Rotterhorn Griffin. Ended up throwing Moros at the Strike Force commander, and it deviated perfectly for me, actually.
Yeah, if it deviates the other way, you have to roll to hit, which makes it a little bit more difficult, but I think you said you had 5. 5 attacks. So
Yeah, I would have had 5 attacks, boosted hit at dice -2 because Gareth was not camping anything again.
So if you hit 3 of them, you
3 of them, that's 15.
you get close to killing him.
Yeah.
It's 15 points of damage. He has 16. So that's a little bit of a gamble there. If you can engineer a knockdown, it's almost guaranteed.
Yeah,
but it's slightly better odds than the
double
Hellmouth assassination.
And by the way, I still have my feet at this point as well.
Yeah, so if it's going poorly,
could save my butt.
Yeah, if it's going
or
poorly,
not
you
Tree
can
Walker because I'd be +2 def in melee. But,
or you can unseen path away as well. Like,
I don't have that much fury.
If you're if
I'm double Hellmouthing, I guess maybe, but no. Anyways, yeah, it was the line you had set up. If I threw Moros at Gareth, Moros was going to end up on the other side of the flag and not do anything.
Yep.
Which is why I went for the Strike Force Commander, and it deviated the right direction, managed to tag Gareth, knocked him down, teleport Wormwood forward, Unseen Path Cassius forward, and just poke him with my stick until he died.
Yeah, which took a few, but
yeah,
mostly because of poor damage rolls.
Yeah. So that is both the games, and we're only at 20-something minutes. So, new edition of War Machine and Hordes, much more interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think we see one of the big problems. I definitely saw one of the big problems with War Machine here that they're trying to address in the 3rd edition, and that's I'm running a heavy and 2 lights in this list.
Yeah.
You can't run a heavy and 2 lights.
No. On a Fury 6, no way.
No way. Like,
I mean, sure, you get free focus from the Arcanist, but
still can't run them. They don't do shit. They do absolutely nothing, especially if you want your caster to do anything. So
Moros didn't do anything either game.
No, nothing. He is almost useless in a Gareth list unless he just wants to sit back for 4 turns and then move up at one point to be a what is it? What do they call that? Spirit something where he makes you def 7 pretty much if you're
paralysis.
Living. Yeah, paralysis. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the only damaging paralysis gun in the game, which is pretty good.
He has grievous wound punches, but he's not reach.
But so does Gareth.
Yeah, so really tough to get anything out of him. You can maybe shoot with him a bit. But outside of that, you're not really getting any efficiency out of him or any of the jacks, really. Like, if you're playing red, take 1 heavy and call it good.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is right now. But here's the thing. Would Power Up help you in this?
No, not at all.
Exactly.
So the only thing that would help that was spoiled for Rhett is Empower. So if you have 2 Arcanists, maybe they make Arcanist FAU. Because people
because Force Wall.
Because
people have 7+.
Yeah, so
I do.
Maybe they do that, but then
God,
so you're essentially raising the point. They would. So what are they going to be like? 2 points, 3 points, something like that.
They have no boxes.
So 2 points maybe in the new edition. Yeah. So you're adding 2 points to the cost of every jack you take at that point, just so it can have 2 focus every turn.
You would add 1 to every jack for the same thing right now.
Yeah. Same thing right now.
Why would you not? +2 power or +2 strength or free focus? Yeah, I'll pay that. I'll pay that tax.
Is it does that make your faction good at that point? Does it I guess the question is, does it make it playable? And maybe it does, but Force Wall's not really.
No, Ret Jacks currently are that bad.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, they really are. Pretty much it's like bring a Ret Jack that has a gun, so maybe it can do something with the Arcanist's power or their whatever their booster is.
Yeah.
And outside of that, you play with a bunch of infantry, which is not something I care for very much. I don't really like infantry spam. I don't really care for infantry in general. It's too many models to move. They're usually not very exciting in what they're doing.
No, they're not.
So
I'm going to turn that off because it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. And so, does the 3rd edition do anything for War Machine? As of right now, they've nerfed Choir.
Oh, They've nerfed choir,
So,
thank God.
In the is that thank God? I think that's terrible actually, because you had the one faction that could actually run 2 heavies or a heavy and 2 lights, or maybe even more.
Well, most of the mats went up. There's nothing below mat 6
Plus
in
1.
there. Plus 1 in general.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
Later on in the forums, they did get a bit more vague in that, or the Primecast said everything went plus 1 and said
then
mat 6,
later on
and
they
then
said
the forums
you're
are
at
like,
least mat 6.
yeah.
So mat 6 is bad as a jack. As a beast, a jack, anything. It's bad. Mat 6 is bad because you have a limited number of attacks and you're a high investment model. Whereas if you're a unit of 10 dudes and you have mat 6, that's not a problem because you're playing a numbers game at that point. And you can layer the dudes out so that they're still hanging around later on. And it's not just like, I put this forward and now it's dead.
Yeah.
So saying, they're mat 6, it's fine. No, that's not fine. It's not fine. And then the other issue I have with it is you fucked over their ranged.
Yes.
So if you had choir and you
choir
had power up, then you could maybe just aim, shoot, and then boost damage.
Well, the thing with choir is it's plus 2 damage. It's not plus 2 strength, so it still buffs damage
it's not
of
helping
your gun.
your
They're
accuracy.
just not as accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think accuracy is far more important.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
But flip side is we know, or Sorsha, they have said remains pretty much the same. So stationary feet, I'm sure, still exist just fine. I'm sure pop and drop is still going to be a thing.
And pop and drop is better now because it negates tough.
Yes, that's another bomb that got there. Lord,
there were a lot of bombshells, and granted, a lot of these things will be subject to change because we don't know stat lines exactly.
Yep.
But talk about shitting on trolls.
Do
you have a pop and drop feat? There's only 2 casters in the game that have it, but
two casters in the game that have it, and then if you can manufacture Cassius right, it'll screw them over again.
Yeah, but there is a lot of ways that you can engineer knockdowns, especially on key models.
Oh yeah.
So I'd say tough was a problem because in terms of attrition and scenario specifically, like if you're 100% in on a scenario, then it is almost always better to find a way to move the model out of the zone rather than kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Because killing it, if it has tough, you can waste everything and then you're fucked.
Exactly. Or whiffing dice.
Yeah, whiffing dice. Yeah, there are a lot of things that come into play, but things like pushes, repulses, anything like that, it was usually far better. So saying that you get 1 tough and then you're dead, it's a lot easier to plan for those scenario plays. So it's probably better. But if trolls maintain their victim stats, man, that's gonna be a bad faction.
It probably won't. We do know champions base to base are still steady.
Yeah, well, they say still steady. They're not currently steady when they're base to base. That was a Mark 1 thing.
But that was
and maybe a Mark 1 thing. I can't even remember even. I just remember they had Bond of Brotherhood. They had defensive line currently.
That's right.
And so now they're saying, okay, if they're base to base and they get steady, that's good. That's definitely good. But they're also going to be 5 boxes most likely. Because that's another bombshell that was dropped.
Medium-based models. Medium-based multi-wounds going to 5 boxes.
You should say heavy infantry. Heavy infantry is the correct word for
Ravagers
that.
Tharn are not heavy infantry.
Well, yeah. I mean, they call things heavy infantry if it has more than 1 box. So
yeah.
If it has 5
Tharn
boxes.
are not heavy infantry.
Yeah, so
and I'm sorry, if they remain armor 14 at 5 boxes, they are still going to die to POW 10 guns. They are still going to be worthless, even with granted. Oh God, if the Tharn Chieftain is granted vengeance
with overtaken vengeance, that's pretty much what was spoiled, is them having overtaken vengeance, which is like, okay, I mean that's cool. They could be incredibly offensive if you can deliver them. Currently, the only way you could feasibly really play them is with Cassius, where they were taking advantage of Tree Walker a bit.
I did that for a while.
And having a respectable defense, at least.
Yeah. And you could use them with Morvana when she gets to bring them back as well, but who cares?
So, I mean, in terms of balancing a game, they had some interesting choices. I mean, we're being a little scatterbrained here, but it kind of encompasses some of the things we've talked about already. Is when you're balancing a game, you have two options, and I think I discussed. Did I discuss Cavalry with you? My thoughts on Cavalry and what they should do to them in the game.
I don't think you had.
Okay. So right now, there's pretty much one unit of cavalry that isn't light cavalry that is considered good, and that's Troll Bloods.
Yep.
The Long Riders. One reason they're good is they're 8 boxes. That's one of the big reasons. Bull Rush is another reason why they're good. And also a POW 14 mount.
Yeah.
Because when you look at some of these other, they're like, the POW 12 ones, it's passable, but the POW 10 ones, you're like, this is fucking useless. Like, I'm supposed to impact with the POW 10? Come on, this is terrible. So that's a problem. And then also, the ones that are Mat 6 are just god awful.
Oh, good
Mat
lord.
6 have, I mean, granted, woohoo, we're Mat 8 on a charge, but that makes our mount useless. Why do we even have a mount at that point? So they had an option going into Mark III where I thought they could either bring the other cavalry up to the standard of Tuffalo, which I thought would be good if you just make 8 boxes across the table.
Yes.
No longer Mat 6 crap. And at least a POW 12 mount. POW 14 if you're awesome, like a buffalo. Horses can have their POW 12, right?
Sure.
A buffalo or a bear or, any of this.
My wolf is a POW 12.
Yeah, anything that's cooler than a horse, sure, you could give it higher than a POW 12. But instead, they're like,
no.
We're going to make them FA2.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be 5 boxes.
Yeah.
Their stat line could improve. They did say that they did rework the cavalry rules a bit, which is good.
There's no longer a difference between regular and light cav.
Yeah, which is good. And now you just have a reposition rule, which is fantastic for the heavy, because the heavy cav, one of the main reasons that they were not really seen is you put them in and then they're dead.
Yeah.
And with light cav,
ride-by attacks.
Yeah, ride-by attacks. Unless you're speed 12, ride-by attacks suck.
Yep.
And also, a big problem with ride-by attacks, and it brings me to another point with them, is I hope they get rid of the lance rule, because if you have a ride-by attack,
good lord, yes,
you're not charging, you don't have reach.
No, it's not just that. You aren't charging. You can't attack with that weapon, period.
And you have a shitty POW 12, and maybe if you have a sidearm weapon, like some of them have swords or some other thing. Yeah, the lance rule, terrible rule.
It's a horrible rule.
Now, there are some cases where I think it is good. There is I believe it's the Ulans and the Vengers. Because when the Venger hits, it's like a POW 14 Blessed or POW 16 Blessed, something like that. I don't know. If it's high POW and it's like a one big shot, maybe you can have the Lance rule, but give them a Weapon Master attack and give them Combat Rider, which most of them have. So the Ulans have I know for sure they have a POW 16 attack, which that's pretty good if you give them like a POW 10 Weapon Master or a POW 12 attack when they're not charging.
Yeah.
And they lose their reach, which kind of sucks, but all cav I think should have a 1-inch melee. That's another bombshell they dropped is the melee ranges.
Yes.
We'll get back to that one because that one's good.
That one is good. Oh god, there's still something today that we talked about before our first game that I'm like, reposition and something else, you sons of...
Yeah, they want to...
Simplifying the game, and now we already have a duplicate rule in play.
Yeah, so one of the goals is to try, and this was from Mark 1 to Mark 2, the same thing, where it's like, let's try and make the rule set easier by saying, hey, all the rules that are kind of similar, they have the same name.
Yeah. By the way, before we get to this, one last thing I want to say about Cav is I honestly kind of hope they get rid of impact attacks because that is a confusing as fuck rule.
The Cav rules in general I think suck. I think the ways that they can make it better, the reposition made the models more attractive. I think a stat line boost would have helped them out. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to see more boxes on all the Cav, but that's not really going to happen. Yeah. The Lance rule, and then the last one was going to be, drawing a blank on it. There was something else. It was to make Combat Rider on everything.
Oh, yes.
Because everything should have Combat Rider. That way you can use your mounts if you're not charging as heavy. Well, now that heavy and light are gone, I think they did that part.
Yeah, I don't think it will be Combat Rider. I don't think they'll have a distinguishing.
You'll just be able to make an attack with your mount regardless, which will be very beneficial. So,
all right, so now to duplicate ruling.
Yeah. It's pretty much because it's on a gargantuan. Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest, that's the reason why. Because normally you
totally
cannot
already
make an advance outside of your normal movement phase.
Yep.
So once you're outside of your normal movement, you're fucked. But then Archangel's like, hey, I want to be a dragon.
Special.
I'm a dragon, damn it.
Yeah. It's like,
Zapdos
hey,
might-
Stormraptor, fastest gargantuan, and now the same speed as the Archangel.
Yeah,
Or
well,
the Archangel is the same
I would
speed as
assume.
it,
I would assume this. What was the rule called? Do you remember it?
but, deceptively mobile.
Yeah, deceptively mobile,
I'm like, I just read that. I'm like,
AKA
okay, that's kind of bullshit.
aka reposition 3. So hopefully Zapdos has that as well.
Oh, that would be good.
I want to see Conquest be deceptively mobile. He's just like the biggest, clunkiest one out there. He's like, yeah, I'm jumping back.
That is quite deceptive. That is quite deceptive.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a bird or a dragon, you would hope it's mobile.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they kind of had to walk back that a little bit.
By the way, one thing I just realized about recording these on Friday nights that's nice. Nobody's in the Privateer Press offices Saturday or Sunday, so when I put this up on Sunday or early Monday morning, everything's relevant. And
Yeah,
we haven't had
like,
any spoilers later.
If you don't really hit F5 on the forums all day long,
Yeah.
you can get your updates with Show to Turn Left instead.
In some fashion or another.
In some fashion, we can hit the high points for you.
Yeah. What Frank and I do, though, both of us have figured this out. PPS Mr. Souls, Will, and Simon. Just go look at what they've posted.
Look at their
pretty
forum
much.
posts.
Yeah.
You can
Just
figure
search
out.
them.
Look Monday, Wednesday, Friday, pretty much for, they did one on Thursday today, or Thursday this week,
Yeah.
which was, I guess, cool to give an extra one in there.
Thursday was the Theme Force one, right?
Yeah, it was the Theme Force one. But we'll roll this one all the way back to the quick topic we hit on of no more 8-box infantry. Man of War are going to be the only thing. And then this also falls into how do you balance a game?
Yeah.
So I was really disappointed in what I heard on the Primecast because they said, we made Man of War better. I'm paraphrasing, so
yes.
Don't be incredibly critical, but it's
we don't have it in front of us. We will both be paraphrasing through all of this.
They're like, we made Man of War better pretty much because they're the only 8 wound models left, and everything else is 5. So they're better.
So
right,
they're
guys?
better by making everything else worse. But they're always repairable. Always.
I'll be fair in this. In game design, you pretty much have 2 ways you can move, especially as your game grows and you're adding all this new and different stuff, and you got to try and balance it, especially when you're doing a reset like Mark III.
Yeah.
You can either nerf everything, or you can bring everything up to the level of the overpowered crap. So you can either raise your curve or lower your curve. If you raise your curve, everyone's going to be happy. Everyone's going to love it. But then we have a game of glass cannons.
Yeah.
Because, your output's too good, your range is too good.
Oh.
They
dropped the curve from Mark 1 to Mark 2.
Yeah. They did. Yeah, overall, I think they did. Because there was some incredibly...
AD got reduced 6 inches at least.
There were some things that were incredibly busted that got toned down quite a bit. And there were some shitty things that got brought up a bit. So now in Mark II to Mark III, they're doing the same thing. They have to roll some things back. Box spam was a problem.
Yes.
It was definitely a problem.
Miserable Beat Mountain started it, and then other factions figured out how to do it. And now the popular one, or I think the most popular one right now, is Thags 1, Blightbringer double spears.
I think Light Warbeast box spam is still going to exist.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's still going to be a problem.
Now that we're bigger battle groups, and in War Machine at least, they've made it easier.
With some of the spoilers that we looked at, I was discussing 8 Crusader lists with some support staff behind it to hopefully make them better or something. And that's just incredibly dumb, but it asks the question, can you kill 8 Crusaders on a death clock? Or can you kill 8 Crusaders before they somehow manage to kill all the crap you brought? I don't know.
It's like
with something like that.
That just hits one of the most boring list designs that I know of.
Yeah.
Which is, you're building a list to not lose. You are not building a list to win. It doesn't win on scenario. It doesn't win on assassination. It
You want
wins by
clock, or you want your opponent to rage quit or shoot themselves in the head?
It's like building a list to win on clock is building a list to not lose.
Building a list to not lose scenario, that's fine, because ideally you have another win condition in mind.
Yeah.
You're saying, I don't want to lose on scenario, but I'm going to win through, attrition or cast or kill, something along those lines. Building lists to not lose,
But
looking at you,
speed,
Lucance,
what?
looking at you, Axis Theme Force.
we
can think
Theme
of
Force can kill something, but oh god, so much.
Yeah. We can name many others. I mean, Convergence kind of got picked on, but I guess that'll bring us to
Miserable Meat Mountain.
Yeah.
You know what? At least Thag's Blightbringer, I killed so many people with it.
Yeah, it can at least kill things.
Yeah.
I guess that'll bring us to our next topic. They are embracing the spam.
Yes. Trenchers, FAU. Doom Reavers, FAU. Warjacks. From what we've seen so far, a lot of them have been getting cheaper, forcing you to bring more of them.
Yeah, they're giving you 30 points of them for free.
Yeah, trying to make them more efficient to run, actually giving incentive in hordes to run more beasts as well, so that when your beasts die, you aren't totally screwed on Fury.
Yeah. I think light war beasts, light warjack, maybe even heavy warjack. The spam could be real, and unfortunately, there can be some incredible troop spam that's going to happen. What if mechanothralls are FAU? Who's ready to play against 100 mechanothralls?
Oh god.
Assuming
they're the same as they are now, which
when they're incredibly cheap, you'll need a little bit of support behind them and a decent caster to really turn them on. Spam is not something I care for. We've seen it evolve. We've seen it go from this off meta counter pick to
the thing you have to counter now.
Yeah, to the I'm going to play this and you better have an answer to it.
Yeah.
And we see with Convergence, they've still embraced it, one of their most recently developed factions.
Yeah.
So spam is here to stay, whether you like it or hate it.
Yeah. Whatever.
The only thing we've seen limited so far is you can only have 2 Gargs or Colossals, and you can only have 2 units of cavalry.
Cavalry would be FA2.
And there's likely going to be caps on some units here and there.
Yeah. I mean, if they make every unit FAU, which I don't...
I highly doubt they will.
No, I think they're doing that for mostly Theme Force stuff.
Having a second unit commander or unit attachment, anything like that, which that's another thing covered, is you'll be able to have all the UAs you want. In some instances, that's good if you wanted to run doubles of something.
Yeah.
I can think of a few units where you would really want to have doubles, but you couldn't really have it in the past. But you're helping perpetuate the spam issue.
Yeah.
You're actually telling people, not only is spam okay, we like spam.
Yeah.
As a company, spam is good.
Oh yeah, they make so much money off of it. Why not?
Yeah.
However, with the units and the commanders being brought up to the same FA as the units, the weapon attachment announcement as well.
Still only 3.
Of whatever. So they hinted at there can now be multiple weapon attachments to a unit.
I guess it depends on how you interpret that, because when I read that, I interpreted it as if they have multiple weapon attachments, you can mix and match them up to that limit of 3.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. But what unit has multiple weapon attachments?
So far, nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, that's just the way they worded it. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting design space.
Ret would be obviously the most... it would be the easiest one to have a second weapon attachment for, because you can have a Solus on there.
That goes on everything.
So,
no, I heard that, and my first thought was, ooh, maybe Thorn Ravagers will be good. Okay, I've got 1 Shaman. Maybe I should get 2 more. Then I heard 5 boxes and went, nope.
Yeah. Man, we should hit the 5 boxes again.
Because
5 boxes. That's a hell of a change for Scorn and Trolls in particular.
Oh, yeah, and... I think the Cataphract, they've already said their purpose has been looked at and adjusted a little bit.
I think Control's Warders are going to remain Thinking of their POW already. They're going to be 8 boxes. They're going to have shitty POW, though.
Yeah, but
And
they have
champion-
shield guard now.
yeah.
All of them have. The whole unit has shield guard.
I mean, shield guard on a unit, that could be
that's
good.
actually kind of cool.
Could be good.
I'm sure they're still going to have battle driven or whatever they
Something like that. At
So
least
with
if you have
shield
shield guard,
that's
you
going
can
to trigger
trigger
it a lot easier. They're still going to be slow and
Yeah, they'll be
whatever.
slow, low POW, probably.
Yeah.
And not, I mean, but
Okay, so yeah, it's like okay, doom and gloom aside, I want to go to a happy note. Minions. That is pretty freaking awesome.
I think we could hit theme forces in general because that kind of
We
covers.
could hit theme forces too.
I didn't like theme forces. I thought they were pretty bad for new players that are looking for new options to get into a faction. They're looking at theme forces. That's usually bad.
It's like okay, you get into the game, you play a game, you buy someone who you think looks cool, who interests you, and then
you
wonder
things
what
that
to
work
build
with
for
them.
Yeah, it's like you wonder what to build with them, so you go to their theme force, and if you picked the wrong one, you got
sad.
screwed.
You're incredibly
horribly.
sad once you figure it out.
Yeah.
So the new theme
I've
forces.
seen players quit because of that crap.
Oh yeah, definitely. It can really. I think it can really put a bad taste in your mouth if you're playing some theme force and then someone's playing a net list and you just get
not even
stomped.
a net list, just playing a decent list, and you're playing one of the crappy theme forces.
And in general, they hit it in their insider on this is, we attach theme forces to a caster, which is obviously a mistake because our casters are constantly growing, which means our theme forces are constantly growing.
And with the no quarter theme forces, that's even more.
Pain in the ass for TOs. It's a pain in the ass for
yeah.
people in general, unless you're always carrying it around. And how much of the errata was due to theme forces, right?
To the point at SmogCon, they've even had to come out and say, yeah, we acknowledge they're a problem. We're going to adjust them. And hey, new edition of War Machine and Hordes, they're adjusting them.
So now they're packs, essentially. I mean, I don't even want to use the word theme forces anymore because that's just going to put a bad taste in your mouth. So
I know.
I'd rather call them packs or
contracts or whatever. Because it all kind of ties into Mercs and Minions with the theme force thing. Because, that was all the same insider.
Yep. So you have...
theme forces are now specific to the faction. They are not caster tied. They are going to be a certain section of models. Actually, the way it read, it felt a lot like the league that they've got going on right now. The Company of Iron,
where they make the groups of models or whatever.
Yeah. Like I expect to see something like that in their theme forces.
What I'm seeing is the new contracts or packs for all the factions is you're just gonna group together the things that are either from the same region, they're of the same type, the same order, anything like that. It depends on what your faction set up like, but it's all done by keywords, the metadata within the unit's name. So in Circle, it's a fairly obvious you're going to have Druids and Tharn. Like that seems like a fairly straightforward one. You're going to have
Druids, Tharn. If they somehow manage to rework the naming of Reeves and Wolves.
Yeah. I think Reeves and Wolves would obviously, like you would have armies that would be using Reeves, Wolves, and Druids most likely. You'd have armies that are using
the Black
Tharn sort of things. And then you'd have things that are centered around the Wolds and things that are centered around the Living Beasts. And some of the benefits sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
The two examples they gave I thought were, oh man, it was, I had a terrible reaction to it. It was, we're going to give gun mages, which are Arcane Tempest gun mages. They're one of the better shooting units in the game.
As long as they have the UA attached.
Yep. We're going to give them CRA.
Yeah.
And for trolls, here's what you got to get. All right, trolls. +2 threshold.
I know.
Oh,
+2
man.
threshold. Oh my god.
Now, that can transition us to another point.
Yeah, that is the biggest joke of bonding, by the way. It's like, all right, War Machine, +1 focus. That is freaking amazing. 4 focus, whatever. +2 threshold on a beast. Who the cares?
The +2 threshold. I read that and I was like, yeah.
That's horrible.
Jason Souls is in charge again. If you play trolls, you should prepare yourself.
This coming from the Rock of the Trollblood podcast.
I think it could be fine. I think they could do good things with the faction, especially with some of the things that were spoiled.
Yes.
But they've just had a few things that have come out, and you're just like, it's just a forehead slapper. There have been a lot of forehead slappers with stuff that they're talking about, like, hey, you ret players, you can regen your shield with this extra focus. What are you going to do with this focus? You got nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
Because you're a ret jack and you can't actually kill anything.
It's like, hey, rate of fire. Rate of fire now means how many initial shots you have.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic change.
Except for the mana core.
Yep. You get reload too.
No, you're now rate of fire D3. Enjoy that randomness.
He got a D3, yeah.
Yeah,
so
rate of fire D3.
So I think the rate of fire change was a good one, and
yes,
we're bouncing around. But the rate of fire change was great because there was always the question of, it says I have 2 shots. Why can't I shoot twice?
Yeah,
I think the most
bomber.
Yeah, I think the easiest one to think of for this was Kale Balok. You know who Kale Balok is?
Yeah.
He has a rate of fire too.
Oh my gosh.
And you have to tell a new player you can only shoot once with him unless you aim. Because that's the only time he gets the additional shot.
I think there's
but it
like
says he has ROF too. No, sorry, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was terrible.
On top of that, you got to make sure when you get the extra shots in your units or models or whatever, that if the rule that they get the extra shot from doesn't say ignores rate of fire, then you actually have to pay attention to that.
Yep. So now ROF means this is how many shots you get, which, as you mentioned, bomber, that's a great change for.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been a great change for some of the red jacks that have a higher rate of fire, but, fuck them.
Just if the Wold Weird stays the exact same and keeps rate of fire 3 with that rule change, that beast just...
He's now a fantastic beast.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Purgation, range 10, POW 10, ROF 3. Yeah, for 5 points or 10 points in the new edition, I'll take that.
Slag Troll also would heavily benefit from that. So
yeah.
So I like that change quite a bit. The downside to that is there is the reload rule, so you might still have to buy your additional shots. Which, I mean, I think that's fine. There are some things that should be paying for extra shots, but if you just have a Glacier King that is ROF 3, that'd be fine, right?
No. But that still makes me wonder about rules like Swift Hunter, or not Swift Hunter, Snap Fire and Quick Work.
Well, we saw with the Mountain King, that was one of the cards we saw.
Yeah,
so you guys
Assault is an icon.
Assault's an icon. And what the Mountain King has is Kill Shot. And Kill Shot says you can make another basic range attack.
Yep.
So pretty much the way it works is you can assault and then Kill Shot and shoot again.
Yeah.
So
by the way, did you catch Kill Shot is better now?
Kill Shot's better because it's no longer undead. I was really hoping...
Better than that. You can also Kill Shot after RFPing. So you can snack
fantastic.
and Kill Shot.
I didn't catch that one. I saw that. I looked for the undead thing on that and snacking. The change I saw in snacking that was decent is the RFP happens before you heal, so you don't have to damage yourself.
Yep.
And it's all cans, so it's all optional.
Yeah.
So those are good changes.
Yeah, now Kill Shot works off of RFP, so you can snack and then shoot off. Only reason I know that is because of the Muse on Minis podcast that dropped today and had great imagery. Eat a corpse and then spray it all over their enemies.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think any troll player has seen that Mountain King card by now. Yes. And everyone that has a Mountain King, if it's not in pieces somewhere, they're like holding it up going, you're going to be so good.
Either that or now they're working on converting it back from the Glacier King they made it.
Yeah. So for all you that converted it to a Glacier King, haha, convert it back.
Simple green. It'll dissolve glue and paint. And
chisel it off. Chisel it off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I mean we've seen actual cards for a few models. We've seen some point costs for a few things, and we've seen some general rule changes. So I guess what's your feeling on it? Granted, everything's coming out in drip sort of fashion. Yeah, in drip drips. Now.
Overall, I'm actually really excited for it. So Mountain King lost Terror, or lost the Terror icon. So for me, that means that. I'm pretty sure at this point, Terror, Abomination, Commander, and Fearless are 4 icons that are no longer going to exist in the game.
Completely gone. So,
however, now we know Assault, Blessed, and Disruption are new icons.
which is good.
Good and bad at the same time.
I think those are
I guess
rules
if
that you
play
don't
enough-
need to print on the card. Because,
Yeah, it's rules you don't need to print on the card, but at the same time, just the iconography of. If you play enough board games, you get used to it. Every game kind of has its own language. So in this, you're still going to have to learn all of the icons that they use. Hopefully, they're out often enough to remember what they actually do. Because, like Commander, how many people actually know what that icon actually looks like?
It's a star inside a circle.
How many points?
What do you mean? How many? Oh, how many pointed star?
Yeah.
I don't even look for that. Is it a 5-point star?
Yeah, I think that one's the 5-point
Yeah.
star. I think it's like an 8 or something. That's Jack Marshall.
Oh, yeah. I don't care about Jack Marshall.
Yeah.
It's a Jack Marshall. Oh, get rid of that thing.
It's like stuff like that. It's icons kind of blend together. To me, the disruption icon looks a little too much like fire.
I thought it was fire at first when
Yeah.
I looked at it. Then I realized it's, yellow and not orange. And
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, what the fuck? The blessed one was pretty obvious.
The blessed
It's like,
one
look
makes
at my
sense.
shining weapon.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So,
So-
that one's good. The disruption, as you say, it's pretty hard to do a disruption icon.
Yeah.
That one's okay, unless you're colorblind. But if you're colorblind, you're probably fucked in this game anyway, right?
Well, if you're colorblind, it's got a cog in it.
Okay.
It has a gear, so.
Yeah, I'm sure
But-
they're thinking about people that are colorblind and all that, because that is something
Yeah.
to keep in mind.
Well, they learned that in High Command with the Faith and Fortune set, where they actually put letters by all of the colors. But that's High Command. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what else is going to become icons, what icons don't exist anymore. Not gonna lie, if Eyeless Sight doesn't exist anymore, I won't complain.
Yeah, that's only because you
But-
play Circle.
Well, consider how much Legion I have.
Yeah. I mean, I think Eyeless Sight is something that is cool and unique to Legion, and if they pull it,
Yeah.
they already kicked them in the balls when they said that we're gonna fuck over your Fury management, right?
Yeah, Shepherds. They only can only remove or add one Fury, not all of it anymore.
So
Which
your Forsakens are still good.
Yeah, the Forsakens can still pull up to 5. But the scary thing about the Shepherds though is it still has the name Condition, which brought up the question of beast handlers.
Yeah,
Which-
we didn't check that one, did we?
No, it is still named Condition, but we
Okay.
don't have any confirmation on beast handlers if they're changing or not. We
'Cause
just know
that
the
would-
Shepherds are.
Incredibly fuck over Scorn.
Oh yeah.
And when you look at an overall faction design and you look at Scorn is like this. We want to mix our infantry with our beasts, but we run very efficient battle groups. Because trolls will mix their infantry with their beasts, but they run very inefficient battle groups. And so their infantry is supposed to be a little bit stronger, and the Scorn infantry is supposed to be a bit weaker. If you fuck over Scorn's Fury management, and you fuck over their infantry a bit, where their medium base guys are all 5 wound.
Hey, Scorn, enjoy that bottom.
Yeah, but hey, we got rid of Scornergy.
Yeah, getting rid of Scorn.
And-
Also, was it Soul Cages or whatever rule
you can-
that Convergence has?
Yeah, you can have Soul Vessel. Yeah,
Soul
you
Vessel,
can
that one.
have your Immortals can give a soul, and Morgul
Yep.
2 got his feet back.
Yeah.
So
Another Mark 1 thing that's coming back.
So yeah, if you really liked Morgul 2 and Mark 1, then he's coming back with a vengeance. Blind
Yep,
feet.
Blind is back. Now that blind is shakeable. Speaking of shakeable and beasts and all that, frenzy rules have been simplified greatly.
The question
Which
I
is-
had with Frenzy Rules was within line of sight. Because they said
Yeah.
charge nearest model. Is it nearest model within your line of sight, or is it nearest model?
Yeah,
To
because
keep things simple,
it
it should be nearest model.
should be nearest model, but
Nearest model's bad
At the
for
same-
Hordes players. If it's nearest model in line of sight, you can still control your frenzy a little bit.
yeah. At the same time, there are times that chart has actually made a lot of sense to me, and it's fairly corner case, but it has happened a couple times because I play Circle, I play Primal, Auto Frenzies. Hey, look at that. The second check being an enemy model that you're in melee with. when that enemy model is in your back arc, and otherwise you would be charging something in front of you and taking a free strike during a frenzy, that's kind of huge.
Yeah.
Because if the dude has 2-inch melee behind you, I guess we can't really say reach anymore. That's another icon that's gone.
Yeah, the range is. We're still coming back to that one.
Yeah.
Melee, having just
Getting
range
used
on
to new
any
changes.
weapon is going to be good, but we'll get to that.
So if it's got 2-inch range melee, and the closest, and they're at the extreme, and the closest model is an inch from you, or I'll say an inch and a half, hoping that heavies just in general have 1-inch melee. Now you've got to charge that thing that's an inch and a half from you and take a free strike from the guy in your ass.
Yeah. So that can be.
Yeah. So I'm
There could be
wondering
some
how
interesting
stuff like
changes with that.
Yeah.
Whether it's nearest in line of sight, and different ways to manipulate frenzies, and just in general.
But I don't. At the same time, fluff-wise, it kind of makes sense. But
Yeah.
if there's a halberd poking my fur, why am I not going to rip the halberd out of my fur?
Yeah. I think they're putting a bit more emphasis on frenzies with the talk of thresholds and reducing the fury management. So that was another situation where they could have made the fury management in Circle and Trolls better, but instead they chose to nerf Legion and Scorn so that they have worse fury management, which I think is, like I said, it is fine and it's a good change, but
it's one of those. It's like nerfing for Legion. That's good. That kind of needed to happen. If it's another one of those, it's like, hey, we nerfed one thing and Scorn got hit by the wayside again.
Yeah, like,
God Lord, that's happened so many
times. If Scorn has
too.
unintended consequences, then obviously they're going to end up in a situation where they have Scornergy again, or they're just shit.
How many unintended consequences have happened to Scorn? Because they were the first one with the beast that can cast anybody else's Animus. And then
Legion came along and they're like,
and they
no.
had to nerf it and said, no characters, no.
Who knows?
Blind nerfed.
Scorn has been fucked.
Yeah.
Many a time. If you're a Scorn player, you're used to using tears as lube.
Yeah. If you're a Trollblood player, you're used to being a battered wife.
Yeah. You've accepted your position in life and you're just like, everything will be fine. It'll all be dog shits, and then it might be better than dog shits.
By the way, I went into the Circle forums today, and they look oddly quiet.
Yeah, it's because they're waiting. They're like, DC, our savior, is not here anymore to ensure our faction is good. What will happen?
We know we're still shifty. We don't know what that means. One other thing I'd like to hit on is today's Insider Journeyman Leagues.
Hold on before that.
Okay.
The emphasis on threshold checks and reducing the efficiency. So it looks like we're not going to have more efficient jacks because
power up.
One focus doesn't make you efficient. I think
it does. You run in charge for free. It doesn't make it good enough, but it makes it more efficient.
Okay. All right. We'll say more efficient versus efficient. Is our warjacks efficient now? They're better, but they're not as good. And as a result, to make the Fury first focus a bit more in line, they've toned down Fury management a bit, and they put more emphasis on Frenzy and Threshold check to reduce your overall effectiveness of your War Beast from turn to turn.
On the following turn of when you go insane, which
so you can still have a
still risk reward system.
Still
that
have a big turn,
and still
but you'll definitely be able to have more output in a single turn than War Machine will, unless they get a lot of Weapon Master charges.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Weapon Master. They've said some units have gained it, some have lost it.
Yep.
So, in other words, we really don't know what that's going to look like anymore.
Watch out, Cricks.
I know, right? I hope.
They're like Bane Thralls.
Lose it all.
No
Lose
more
it all.
Weapon Master.
Yeah.
You have Dark Shroud's good enough.
Yep.
You want
Curse will become a skill check? God, I hope so.
Well,
oh, wait, no. Skill checks are gone.
Yeah,
I hope something happens with Curse.
So, I'm fine with skill checks going away. I think that's a good change. But that's one of the older changes.
Stormcallers, that's what I was thinking of with the skill checks.
So, I mean, I think we hit most of the high points at this time. Right?
alluded to mercs and minions several times, and
Oh yeah.
with the theme forces thing, is like, and
You
calling them
can-
packs is appropriate because there is no tier 1, 2, 3, 4 or any crap
Yeah.
like that. But the more exciting thing to me about that is actual mercenary and minion contracts and packs as we know them don't exist anymore.
Which I think two of the big things in there. I remember when looking at mercenaries is why can't I use gun mages and Kazi assassins together? Because that would be fun.
Yeah,
you can.
now you can.
Yeah. And for pigs, you can use Gatorman Posse now.
Yes.
And for gators, you can
You
have the
can
slaughterhousers because that's really the only thing that you would want
know,
from
right?
pigs.
Something interesting about the ally units, though. I don't know if you caught it on Eris 2 card.
She
It
still
is-
had partisan, but I that's the only
But
thing I looked
it's
at.
partisan, and then retribution was in brackets, making it a qualifier, like they'll do for several rules, auto fire or reposition now. So I'm guessing all the ally units are going to be mercenary units with partisan blank. So now
That way you could potentially be taking things like
Chaosy will be
skirmishers.
partisan Kador, skirmishers will be partisan Manoth, Cephalix could be partisan Crix. I'm wondering how that's going to work considering the selective rules, but they've alluded to that, you can take whatever mercs you want in Cephalix, which that could be interesting.
Yeah, there are still going to be animosities and all that, but
Yep.
and minions and mercs cannot be mixed except for the guys that are minions and mercs, which is just like Saxon,
Nishunters.
Nisshunters, Boomhowlers.
Boomhowlers.
There's a few things that cross over. So
Yeah.
I guess the question is,
Hey, Lessers, Dahlia Scarith.
can you have Boomhowlers in your pigs now? Because that would help pigs out
Yeah.
a lot, right?
Man, I hope
Because
Boomhowlers.
all they said is you can have gators and pigs together, but can they now have Nisshunters? Can they now have Boomhowlers? Those things would definitely make them better.
Also, if Boomhowlers become partisan Trollbloods, that would make a lot of sense too.
That would give them an infantry unit that is worthwhile.
But wow, we've been going for a while. But yeah, anyways, I do want to touch on Journeyman leagues briefly. They've, like we already know from a while ago, that all the new battle boxes are balanced at effectively 0 point lists. They have just enough to bring the battle group, and that's it. The new Journeyman leagues, the format is changing, so you can't just game it right at the beginning with painting a bunch of stuff or getting a crap load of games and being able to ride it out, which I think is great. But with the new edition, all the Journeyman leagues will be the battle boxes that they have on release day, and then Convergence, Mercs, and Minions will have quote-unquote stand-in, meaning exactly what models they can bring, and that's it. There are no longer any alternatives. Nothing like that. It will just be the one set. So all the Mark II battle boxes, all the alternative battle boxes, the Christmas list.
Get fucked.
Yeah. I think it was Christmas a couple years ago that was every faction with a caster and 2 heavies and said this will be part of the Journeyman leagues. All that stuff gone, doesn't count anymore. As a newly appointed PG, I'm sitting there going, okay, I just got my PG status and now I've got to paint 2 more battle boxes. Crap.
Buy and paint 2 more battle boxes.
Yeah, buy and paint. They have set up a refund program in there, which is nice, but it's still just like, oh, cool. I qualified and got in, and a couple months later, but it's still one of those. I budgeted for it. I'm going to be able to do it. I'm hoping they release Journeyman League rules, like official rules, a bit earlier so that
people can set up events right away. Yeah, because
can look at it and at $40, forcing people to A, rebuy War Room, B, buy a new battle box, C, buy a new deck of cards.
I mean,
that's
some
if you
asshole's gonna say, well, those are all optional.
Yeah. I use War Room more to look at my opponent's list than my own, so that's stuff I'm looking at. The new edition is going to create a pretty large cost investment for just keeping up, and
Which, hooray if you're Privateer Press, but
yeah.
I don't.
For those wanting to run Journeyman leagues right away, as well as I'm excited for Mark III. Don't get me wrong. I'm stoked to see what happens because I realize I've been playing the same dang lists for almost 2 years. The Cassius version I'm using now, I took out 13 points. I took out the Una module and put in solos and other stuff because it seemed like more fun.
Druids, yeah.
No, Druids stayed the same. I moved a Rodahorn Griffin into Cassius' battle group, and then had the 2 Blood Witches.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Totem Hunter. I didn't mention him in my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Too late now.
Yep. But to play the same list with such little variance for over 2 years, yeah, the game has gotten stale. It's good for a change. It's just Journeyman Leagues. I hope they release it enough so that PGs can make tweaks for those that can't afford to just keep up and get a new battle box right away.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a pretty large investment for, I don't know, maybe a majority of players. Maybe a majority of players would see these things as a larger investment.
Yeah.
Especially since I've already been playing this game for a long time. Now I'm buying, whether it's the cards, it's only like $20, not a big deal, but
no. But $20 for cards, $40 for the battle box. If you actually want a rules book with previews of other units, it's going to be another $60 on top of that. However, the rule books that come with the battle boxes are going to be like the mini rule books you could get in the 2-player battle boxes now, which is great.
I mean,
that could help save a bit. But
when you have the PDFs for free, it's kind of like,
They might as well come.
Yeah, they may.
I'm sorry, I like the physical ones because indexes are really nice to use.
Yeah, definitely. PDFs kind of suck for looking things up.
Yeah,
but yeah, should be a good money grab for Privateer Press, and hopefully we'll see better plastics as a result of this.
Yeah,
and hopefully we won't see any more Kickstarters as a result of this.
I know, right?
I don't.
It's
the Kickstarters rub me the wrong way.
Yeah,
but,
how much of Widower's Wood Kickstarter was to help fund the Mark III thing?
Yeah, or just a failing board game department.
Or that. Hey, it was successful for what it was worth.
I mean, the one that we played with Pete, that one was okay-ish. It was what is that? Man, I'm drawing a blank. Super Dungeon Explorer. It was a Super Dungeon Explorer knockoff, but
yeah, it is.
I mean, it was fine. It was Super Dungeon Explorer with a Iron Kingdom
IKRPG,
skin.
Yeah.
So they just skinned it. Some of their other board games, level 7 and all that. It's like
I haven't even played any.
I remember in the TempleCon previews, whenever TempleCon was still around, they were doing those videos. Everyone would see those other things that Privateer Press is working on, whether it was like some bodger thing or level 7 thing. Or, they're just like, oh, get past this crap.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. What was it? The one TempleCon where there was a little snippet of War Machine Hordes at the end of it. Everything else was, the board games. And everybody, the forums and everyone else is going, what the... Where's all our War Machine Horde stuff? What is all this other stuff you showed us? We don't care.
Yeah, I mean that's the unfortunate proof. They have a flagship product.
Yeah,
and there's only so much you can do on that flagship product because once people buy a model, for the most part, they're not buying it again. So
unless you spam it.
Yeah, unless you spam it. So yeah, that's one way to get around it.
Yeah,
saying, hey, we made better plastics and things are much higher quality now. Some people might buy it. Yeah. I remember when they went from metal bronzeback and metal behemoth to the resin and white. It's like the resin and white metal kits.
Yeah,
I preferred those over the metal ones, and I definitely went for those ones because they're lighter and everything else, much better quality.
Oh come on, behemoth is an amazing sock jack.
Yeah, not if you have the one that I have, but I have a good old fashioned Earthborn for that.
There you go.
Gorilla glued together. Can't even break him apart. Beat him over a table, he doesn't break.
I think Miranda's behemoth is the all metal one, and that's JB Weldon.
Yeah, he's JB welded together. So improving your model line doesn't really help you as a business.
No.
It helps with future people maybe, but I can't imagine this is a business that grows very rapidly. It's probably fairly slow growth, and the only thing you're really having from your existing customer base is buying new releases and maybe faction jumping from time to time.
Yeah, and somehow trying to figure out a way to keep growing your community in such a niche market. And honestly, with certain pre-painted miniatures games like X-Wing
is
one,
incredibly popular.
Yeah.
Like, it's done really well here, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's number one in terms of sales worldwide right now.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. Well, it's Star Wars, which is awesome, and why not? But the pre-painted thing, and how many people in our society anymore have the patience to actually take the time to build and then paint and then all that. And
it seems much easier just to pick up and play, whereas this, you're like, all right, I have this box of parts.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's like my thing with being a PG, in order to get the points for them and the refund or whatever, I have to have it all. I have to have the whole battle box painted by the end of July. I'm going, crap. That's the middle of my busy season for work. This is going to suck.
You can always pay to have someone paint it.
Yeah, I might have to do that. We have a couple of those. That might.
Well, there's the majority of the spoilers from the week. There's some cards. Yep. We saw some good things. We saw some questionable things. I think overall, the game is looking interesting. I'm glad to see overall nerfs. It's going to suck. It's going to be bitter at the beginning. But
yeah, it'll be a very, very bittersweet thing. I'm hoping they don't nerf Circle into the ground.
Yeah, they're getting nut punched.
Yeah, there's definite stuff that has to change. I mean, when was the last time you saw a bottom one assassination?
Yeah,
I mean, really.
Well, that's one of the few casters that can do it. And it's mostly mostly that you can place a beacon for a Hellmouth.
Yeah,
that is not snakes to
and
hit.
Play with 11 Fury.
Yeah, and 11 Fury. I hope they don't do Circle too bad, because I'm gonna try and look at War Machine as my faction. War Machine faction. But, man, I like playing heavies way too much. and I might try some games with some stuff and see if you can actually function with 2 or 3 heavies. That's likely not going to happen.
Well, you're going to be forced to now.
You are going to be forced to. So
30-something points.
Maybe it'll operate a little bit better, but if I can find a faction where it's not just complete troop spam, I might go War Machine. If not, I'm going to have to pick another Hordes faction, which would likely be Circle, because that's the only one I haven't bought into big yet. I have some, but not enough.
Yeah, I ain't selling my Circle, but I still more or less plan on staying in Hordes. And
Hordes is the superior system.
Yeah.
And actually, for all the people that hate on Hordes and say it's overpowered, Hordes is actually the weaker system if you think about it in the grand scheme of things.
Yep.
Because in general, volume of attacks beats out high value attacks over the course of a game, because we are playing a dice game.
Yep.
So in general, high volume of attacks is going to end up being a better system in general. But if you like playing heavies, you're kind of fucked in War Machine.
A little bit.
Unless you're playing Convergence.
Yeah, Convergence.
Because that one might be fine still, because you're just, inducting 3 focus all over the place.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, I don't think that was something else that happened this week. That, good Lord, there is so much news.
That happened last week. We covered that one already.
Okay, we did.
We're good.
Okay, I don't remember. There's been so much news. But, well, I think it's time to call this one a night. So...
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure almost an hour of this is not going to be listened to or really relevant in a couple months. Actually, none of it's going to be relevant in a couple months.
Yeah, all the games that you're watching, some archaic system that these old farts played or something like that.
I know. Anybody watching at this point, listening to our ramblings and getting this far, wondering what the fuck happened and why this game does not look like the way you've won. Welcome to War Machine and Hordes. This is the previous edition called Mark II.
Yeah. When I started, Mark I was the thing, and nothing made sense until more people produced content for Mark II. So, hey, we'll be at the front of it for Mark III, right?
Yes. Yes, we will.
I'm excited to play lower point games, particularly.
Yeah. And
I think
depending
they
on
can
how it
be
works,
more fun.
we may end up doing multiple games a night, and I can do either a slower release schedule because I'm going to be busy, or if we can get multiple games a night with commentary, that'll just help out, and we'll definitely be much more focused at that point because we'll be trying to figure it out. Anyways, for now, please like, comment, subscribe. Mark II dies in a couple months. We'll try what we can. We will definitely.
All the faithful people that write their comments on every video, they can tell us their favorite thing in Mark II that they're going to be sad to see go.
Yes. What are you afraid is going to get nerfed into the ground? What are you excited for to get brought up? Oh God, I really don't want to do this.
I mean, Kruger 2. It was good knowing you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Get fucked.
I'm tempted to say I have almost Circle in its entirety. If somebody wants, I can't say this.
Ben's
Don't
ready.
build a list for me. I'm not going to play it. Screw Brenos.
Yeah. Croak Raiders, good knowing you. Whatever it is you guys can come up with, that it was good seeing you. Goodbye, Mark II. Hello, Mark III.
Hey, I have a unit of Wolves of Ouroboros. Maybe those will be good.
There you go. You could tell us what you hope isn't total garbage that you bought early on. You bought it and immediately regretted it. For me, I think it was Scattergunners, maybe. They got a little bit better, but they still suck. Trollkin Scouts. So many things that I can name.
Troll Bloods.
A good part of Khador as well.
Oh, Man of War.
Yeah, it's a Man of War.
All right. Well, I'm done.
Warjacks.
We're out. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
AD Pathfinder Stealth.
Speed 7, 4-inch reach.
Yeah, they have the trifecta.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see on small or solos is AD Pathfinder Stealth.